Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Gabriel Brent, and with me I have William, who is a member of the Apazones community. And today we are doing the Apazones Swing Pub. So with that being said, this is a little thing that we like to do to forecast out next week's price action. And just a list of assumptions that I think is very, very important for everybody to know is we are looking at the TradingView platform here. We are looking at the Apazones trend follow system using support and resistance and supply and demand zones. We have forecasts that we've done in previous weeks, and we're going to see how those things have come to fruition. All right. So as we look at this stuff, I assume that everybody here is going to be familiar with the Apazones trend follow system and how we approach the markets. If you're not, please check out the website. And without further ado, just please realize that with trading there is substantial risk of loss, so it's not for everybody, and past results are not indicative of future returns. So let's go ahead and get started here on the euro dollar. We are looking down and looking for a new low, but ranging for now. All right, so that is our perspective coming into this week, or coming in from last week, was we're looking at it to continue to range. And if we look at the big weekly levels here, you know, we can see that we've been stuck in between this range now for you know, over a year. You know, it's just like it's been going on, and it just can't seem to break out. All right, so what we're looking for is for this level to actually be broken, this weekly demand level to be broken, and for us to hit the new low down here. Okay, so that's where we're looking for. All right, and really what we're looking at is for price to be hitting that level. Okay, and let me change the color here real quick, just so that it's really obvious where we're looking at price to be going. Now, this may be a couple weeks out still. All right, just looking at this weekly chart. If we do get downwards thrusting bars, then I could still see this being maybe a week or two out. But that's the overall level that I'm really going to be watching, because right now we're just in the middle of the range, you know. So nothing has really changed. We did get a little bit of a pullback. If we come over here to the daily chart, you can see that we're again locked in the range on the daily zones too. And today I'm thinking that this is going to be a lower high. All right, so I'm looking at something like this right here. That's what I'm looking at right there. All right, and maybe we can even extend this trend line up to that point to some degree. But if this trend line does still stay in play, then that's what I'm expecting to have happen. And maybe that's a little bit of a trying too hard to make this thing fit, but I definitely see some type of trend line happening right there, and I'm going to continue to look to the downside on this one, just playing in the middle of the range, but I think it's going to go down even further. So we want to be aware of where these levels are. This daily level has formed basically off of the weekly level. Okay, so it's starting to stair step on top of each other, and we will continue to see how this thing plays out. So no change on this one here.
We're going to take a look at the AUDCAD for a minute. Here over here on Gabe's notes, he said trend is he's looking for trend to continue to the upside. Okay, and here on the weekly, you can see why I said that. Basically, we're making new demand levels here on the weekly, and this thing's in an uptrend. We finally revisited weekly supply up here at the top, because basically this thing's been a pretty big broad range. You can see here it's been in a range for quite some time. It's a big broad range, and we're seeing ourselves back at the top of it, getting a reaction off the weekly level here. You see this big exhaustion candle being formed here on the weekly. And yeah, that's about it. So let's look at the daily chart and see why we're getting this big candle, this big exhaustion candle forming. You can see why here on this daily zone, you know, putting in all these wicks, 1 wick, 2 wicks, 3 wicks. This fourth wick was a big wick and big push to the downside. Okay, came back and revisited, almost coming back to, I don't know if did we wick in, or it looks like we almost wicked into this demand zone right here on the daily.
It looks like we did.
Yeah, so you know, we got a little reaction off of it today, but this thing could be going for a ride back to the downside since we're at the top of the range on the weekly, and we hit a demand zone, not demand, but supply zone on the daily as well. But you know, today we're getting a big double bar engulf, big double bar bearish engulf path. Could be going for a ride back to the downside here.
So this week we're really looking for this thing to retest that daily level pretty hard, is what I'm thinking, because we did it in one bar. You know, we reached the supply, we've done the engulf, and now I'm thinking that we're going to really retest this level for the next few days and over this next week to the downside to determine what type of demand we are at down here. Okay, then obviously we have to give one last retest of the high before it really decides which way it's going to go from there. So but this is a very pivotal turning point right now, and we've continued the trend up to the weekly, so and we'll be changing our lookout here on the form. Looking at the Aussie Swiss, you can see that on the weekly charts we've been in a range as well for quite a while, just going back and forth and back and forth, and we actually put in a level of weekly supply right here that is now, this week, just got broken. Okay, so we're going to take this thing out, and as we look at the overall ideas of what is going on in this market, we were at daily resistance, seems to be holding. Okay, we're expecting a push to the downside, looking for PA to confirm the daily supply and the money bounce to the downside. Okay, so that's what we were looking at last week. So let's go see how that actually played out over the past few bars. All right. So last week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So that means that this is the daily supply that we were looking at here, and we saw that price came up in here, and it retested back low. But now we're up here again at the highs of the range. All right. So in my perspective, I feel like because we're at the top of the range, and this is also inside the weekly level too, which was, you know, just a couple ticks above where this high was put in from before. Like the weekly levels, let's say, started like right there, and like we were right there, and that's where that daily level kind of got put in place. But we've like pushed up above it, or excuse me, the other weekly level got put into place, but we pushed up above it. Now we're touching this. Okay, so now we're truly at the extremes of the range. Personally speaking, I think that we can come down now. Okay, and I think we will come down. All right, so that's really what I'm looking for here. Is I'm looking for price to stick. All right, and I'm looking for price to retest this demand again. All right, so we're almost like inside of a range within a range, if you will. All right, now as it comes down into this level here, you could be a buyer and take it up into the top of part of this range, kind of like what we did right there. Like you said, see the money bounce off of that zone. That was a really great little money bounce type of deal. All right, so we just have to wait patiently and see what goes on from here. But I feel like we're in a range within a range right now. okay? And the resistance could still be holding because we are at the top of the weekly range too, okay?
All right, we're looking at the Aussie yen, okay, and we have over here on Gabe's notes. He has noted that a short-term downtrend looking for a price action failure, possible long-term range. Okay. This pair has been a nice downtrend for quite a while now, and short-term downtrend looking for price action failure, possible long-term range. Okay, so he was looking for a price action failure to the downside. We're still in a weekly supply zone though. We got price to react off this demand back up into this weekly supply, and we haven't fallen from it yet. Came to the bottom of it, and then seems like we're getting a little up week this week. It's engulfing bars, and price has been moving up off the bottom of this weekly supply zone here. It's kind of just stuck in this supply zone. But let's look at the daily chart and see what's really going on. Get a better view of things. See what's going on here. Here on the daily, this thing's pretty much kind of been ranging between this supply zone and demand down here. Came back up to supply up here. Came down, got a reaction down off of it again. Did not get to demand again. Created a new demand zone, and now we're at this daily supply zone that formed below the one at the top of the range on the daily, and we're just kind of stuck in the middle of the range here. Here on the daily chart. This week's been a little up week. You can see the reaction after the zone form. We came back up to this supply, and now we got another engulfing bar, bullish engulfing bar. That price is engulfed the past two price action, and looks like we're coming back up in this supply zone to test the top of it. We're going deeper in this supply zone. We're seeing prices, seeing if there's more sellers up in here or not. And if not, if there is no more sellers, we're going to violate this supply zone and keep going higher to the top of the range again. Okay, so I think this thing is going to keep going up here for the short term. Maybe we might find some more sellers up at the top of this supply zone, but if we don't, or we might find a few, but we might not get a big reaction, and we could see, I could see price violating this zone and continuing to the upside. So you can see why Gabe has noted that possible long-term range could be in effect, because we just could be possibly playing the top of the range here again on the daily, and then back down again if this thing doesn't give us any real conviction of going higher. It's just going to be pretty much stuck in a range here for the near term. So I can see this zone being violated here in the near future if we don't get a reaction at the top of the zone. Like I like to use a third. I like to break my zones up into thirds. If we don't get a reaction at the top third of the zone, we're going to violate it and then find our way back to the top. This zone on top of the current zone that we're at. So, which is at the top of the range again. So I can see price doing that here in the near term. But we still gotta wait and see if it happens. But in my opinion, I feel like that's what the market wants that's what price wants to do on this market. It wants to keep going higher and find this zone up here eventually, and then we'll see what happens. So
I think I have a little bit different idea of what's going on here. And usually we don't disagree on stuff, but I'm really waiting to see whether or not this level gets taken out. Okay. Whoops, my mouse went a little wacky there. Because if that little previous high sticks, then I think we could continue to the downside. All right.
So
Yeah. Just because we got the P.A.F. Okay, but now I see this as just being a little retracement, and then I want to stay short on this thing because as we look at the Aussie dollar, or I'm sorry, the Aussie yen here, you know, we're still in the downtrend overall, and we're pretty far into the downtrend, so I'm just going to let that thing stick that way. Okay, so I'm going to think that if that high can stick, then you know, we have a shorting opportunity down to this demand, you know. But if you're right, if it breaks this, then we're definitely going to retest that. Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes sense. I just think we're going to end up testing the top of that zone before, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that bar, that this today's bullish engulfing bar, that's you know, a lot of buyers have stepped in today, and I just feel like that high is going to get taken out that you're looking at right there. I just feel it's going to get taken out. I don't, you know, I could be wrong, but I feel it's going to get taken out and find its way higher up into that zone before we find more sellers, if we find them.
No, I totally agree with you on that one. Like that, this is the breakout. We're waiting for confirmation. Moving over to the Aussie dollar. If you look over here on our summary from last week, we were looking for it to move up to the weekly zone, up to the weekly supply zone, that is, looking for long pullback. Time is playing a factor for the long. Okay, so we were saying that this thing needs to hurry up and get up into this supply zone. And guess what? The market delivered. Thank you very much, Mr. Market. And we're now into the supply zone. We drew this wonderful little trend line, and this is the third bounce, or excuse me, this is the first bounce off the trend line. So this is what I consider the money bounce there. All right. And as we pour into the daily time frames, you can see the stair step of zones up to the upside here, and we're now waiting patiently for price to confirm whether or not this trend line bounce is really going to work the way that we think it is. It is touching a supply level, daily supply level up here. It's got some good price action indications that this could be the hesitation area, but we don't know it for sure just yet. So again, we're waiting for price action to confirm that. I'm going to change the perspective here, like now that we're at the weekly, which again, thank you, Mr. Market. Now we're looking for a trend line bounce to the downside.
All right, we're going to dive into the euro pound. Over here on Gabe's notes, he said that the euro pound looking for long to continue, okay? And you can see why. We're in a nice uptrend. Last time we were at weekly supply, we got an explosion to the upside. Found ourselves at this weekly supply zone. Got a temporary retracement off of it, and now we're back up, and looks like price wants to beat this supply zone here in the near future. We haven't beaten it yet. We're back at the top of it again, but these weekly engulfing candles are just, you know, being put in with a lot of conviction, okay? So as Gabe has noted, and I feel as well, that this trend is going to continue to the upside, okay? Let's go to the daily chart. You see on the daily, we are back at this daily supply zone that's nested within that weekly zone. But we got a lot of buyers. We found buyers here when came down to retest this zone. Found a lot of buyers, came out of it, came back to test it again. The sellers failed, and the buyers, you see what happened the next day. The buyers just came in with a lot of conviction and just pushed the market up, had a little stall, and kept continuing going up. So here we are again at this daily zone. Will we get a reaction to the downside again? We don't know yet. Today is like a little bit of an exhaustion day, but it's not a whole lot of price movement. So tomorrow we'll see what happens. If we get another push higher, if we beat this high, tomorrow we're going to go deeper into the daily zone.
Looking at the pound Aussie, we are down and looking for a checkmark trade off the daily chart. So here's what we're looking at as far as the weekly goes. And this weekly zone, like we do see the completion down to the weekly demand. Okay. Moving over to that daily chart, we were looking for a little bit of a checkmark trade off of it, but guess what? Over the past week, it has just been so strong that we see price just plowing down to that daily demand level from 2013 here. Let's bring that up just a little bit more obvious as we pour into these markets. So right now we're at major demand, weekly and daily demand, and we are looking to see how is the market going to respond to this level. Okay, so first off, when I come into a position like this, I'm going to say that we are going to continue with trend, okay? So that's the first thing that I'm going to say. Down, all right? And the next thing that I'm going to say is that we expect the support to break, okay? So, but it's a fresh level, so we have to wait. And that's really what I think about it. Don't make it more complicated than what it has to be. Define our trend as trend is down, because that's what it is, and run with the trend because the trend's your friend. I don't want to be a seller down here though. I need it to recoil at least up to this level over here. That would be an okay recoil level for me, and then possibly take it again to the south side, assuming that the trend is going to work out. Okay, so something to this effect here. All right, now it could get even lower, you know, like this thing could be even lower, but that's in general terms what I'm looking for that meets up with the price action that we train in the APA community and everything like that. So that's the trend follow trade to be taken. Now we don't have a for sure level right here. This is just a flip-flop, so we have to wait for confirmation to see how strong the reaction is going to be off of this level, and then we'd have to have a level put in this area. Okay, so neither of those things have happened, but this is the general idea of what we see happening over the next week. All right, and now we just have to wait and be patient for that to come to fruition. Right now is not the time to be taking anything. We just have to wait and be patient at this decision point.
All right, I'm going to dive into the pound CAD. Gabe has noted on this side over here looking for the downside, okay? The weekly chart, and you can see here on the weekly, last week, you know, even on the weekly, you can see price stalling out right here, where this big wick is, kind of like in a flip-flop area. See price stalling out, and then we got our nice drop all last week, and then is that this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all this week. This is all this week's price action. It's one big bearish engulfing candle right here. Okay. You know, obviously the trend is down, and we're waiting for a continuation of the trend to continue to the downside, which is what we got this week, all this week. And over here on the daily, you see why. We got price coming back up in this daily supply zone. Bam, got a nice 2-bar engulf here at the top of the zone. Got a little stall here. This was last week, like last Friday or whatever. Coming back to retest this zone, retest this engulfing bar. We got our failure, and to the downside we continued on. We're finally down here at daily demand again. Haven't haven't found any buyers yet. As you can see, we're making lower lows and lower highs on the way down. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Will we make a lower high and continue down tomorrow, or will we start making a higher low, continue, get a little retracement to the upside? I just think that the trend's so intact that the sellers are just going to keep control of this market for a while.
Looking over here at the pound yen, we can see that we have a short-term counter-trend play after a very strong and bullish move to the upside. Overall, though, we are looking to the down. All right, so looking over here at the daily time frame, just going to highlight the counter-trend bullish move that was super-duper strong, taking out previous resistance up there. You can see it kind of topping off, and now we're back down here into daily demand. Now the counter trend play, which I've highlighted here with this arrow, this is counter trend, okay? And because it's counter trend, I'm going to put it behind price. The trend follow play would be for us to see a retracement this week up to this level and then down. That would be the way that we are looking to go, and that would be the trend follow way. So that would be the safe bet in all of this.
All right, diving into pound New Zealand. It has noted simply trend is down, which it is, and we can look on here on the weekly. You see trend obviously in a nice down move. You know, been down for quite a while now. We got a little retracement, maybe what, 3 or 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks ago, back up to the 190 level. Okay, I bet you this is a nice daily zone on the daily chart right here. But you can see what happened since then, and the downtrend has been continuing down. Okay, let's go to the daily chart, and like I said, there's the daily level. Nice daily level that we found resistance at. Got a nice move away from it. Came back up to retest this zone, and last Thursday, or what day was that? Yeah, the 4th, last Thursday. Yeah, we got a big, nice, big bearish engulf. Look how I swallowed up the past 3 days of price action. Past 3 days bullish price actions got swallowed up. And this is another one where I had another price action failure order waiting, but you know, got a little retracement back to the upside, failed. See the exhaustion candle being put in right here, and then kadoosh, back down to daily demand. And here we are now in daily demand. Is that a wick? Did it put in a big wick right here?
Yes, sir. That looks like a big wick to me.
Yeah. So we put in a nice big wick here. So we got an exhaustion candle today at daily demand. So we could be seeing the beginnings of a retracement back to the upside here. Okay. You know, let's see what happens overnight. Tomorrow, you know, we put in a higher high. We can see price moving up in a counter trend manner back to the upside. Don't know if it's going to get back up here or not. We could see it flip-flop off these lows over here, this low, and possibly these lows right here, and then back down, or we can see it possibly get all the way back up into the zone and then back down.
Looking at the New Zealand dollar, our notes say that we are still looking for the long to continue, money bounce off of new demand. So on the weekly, we can see this. We can see that we just breached a new high on this market. Congratulations. And over here on our daily chart, well, look at the money bounce right there, ladies and gentlemen. We have the money bounce. It went through this daily level, so we're going to take this daily level out. It's no longer important, and we have a new high. Now, something important to note about this is look at this level. This is a level from, looks like 2000, from May 21st. Okay, so we've been here a few times, and this is a new high inside of this resistance level, but we still recognize it as a resistance level. Yes, we got a beautiful money bounce off of that, okay? Beautiful money bounce there, but this is still inside of a resistance zone on the daily chart, even though it broke a weekly, okay? Breaking a weekly level is great for the trend follow type of play, but we want to be careful on getting onto this thing as there is still supply up here. Okay, so nothing has changed. Money bounce no longer in effect because that already happened, and that was really cool. But now we're just looking for the long to continue.
Dive into dollar CAD. Game has noted long bias, waiting for new demand to form or bounce off of demand. Okay. On the weekly chart, we see that price is back up in this weekly supply zone. All this week we've been getting a nice sell-off in the zone of the weekly supply zone. Nice bearish engulf candle being placed right here for this week's price action. Will it finish? Will it finish a bearish engulf, or will it retrace back up? Maybe, maybe not. Still got another day to wait to see this thing pan out. But we're getting a reaction off the weekly zone. Okay, let's go to the daily chart, and you can see over here on the daily, we're making, you know, higher lows all the way up. Just find a lot of resistance. Once we get to the top of the range here, we find a resistance, but we could find ourselves at this demand zone for another push higher, you know, higher, you know, going higher here on, you know, in the range. Not in the range, but in a trend follow manner. I want to put in a trend line, something to that effect. We could find ourselves bouncing off this trend line back to the upside here in the near future. But for right now, the most current trend is down, because obviously the short-term sellers have taken hold of the market. So, but we want to see if we can find some buyers down here at the zone right here.
Now, the interesting thing on this market was I was seeing this as a wedge. We talked about this being a wedge several weeks ago, and we were seeing breakouts to the long side on the daily time frame here. That wedge has broken out to the upside, all right, which I think is pretty cool, and we got a retest to it. But instead of it stalling out right in here where I kind of saw it doing that in somewhat of a flip-flop area, this thing looks like it's going to pop down first, you know, and especially off that weekly level, like what you were saying. I love that perspective, you know. On the weekly, this looks like we're at the top of the range, you know. It definitely seems like it could come down on the weekly. All right, moving over to the dollar yen. We can see that we have been coming down on the dollar yen. We had a nice little retracement from the weekly here just a couple weeks ago, and we are pushing into the newly formed weekly demand level. Moving into the daily chart, as you can see here, there is the reaction from the weekly level and from the daily level combined, a little bit of a flip-flop zone, if you will. We've pushed down hard and strong over the past couple weeks. The trend is still down. We're looking for the bounce off the daily, weekly confluence down here, which is giving us this consolidation that we've seen happen here. And we're really still waiting for the consolidation to pop here again this week. So after just looking at the trend lines and everything that we have going on here, I think even though the trend is down, we're really still waiting for the breakout, and we've got this beautiful trend line going on here, bullish engulfing candle with the tweezer bottom. It is possible that we could see the counter trend to the upside work out above that level there, okay, above that zone, if you will, and we'll just be waiting patiently for that to happen. But again, I think it's important that we wait patiently for the breakout in this. So it could go to either way.